Hare Krishna. So we are starting our Gopāla Campū-Uttara study session, chapter 24, Nanda returns to Vraja. At the assembly where Krishna was present in the morning, Snigdhakanta began speaking. It's not possible to describe the pomp of the people gathered at Kurukshetra. I can describe some among all the various actions performed by people gathered at Kurukshetra for the eclipse. But please hear about one outstanding memory, the sweet nectar flowing from the gleaming face of the Lord that spread everywhere. I will describe a little of what is pleasing to us and which spread everywhere. At Kurukshetra, the sun became invisible and Rahu became visible. Attaining Krishna after coming from Vraja, Nanda, along with his people, gathered piles of jewels from the treasury to distribute. On seeing the eclipse, all the people engaged in various acts of charity. Some desired dharma by giving to devatas and pitras, some desired artha, and some desired liberation. Some desired bhakti to Krishna. The cowards desired only Krishna's well-being. When the festival of the eclipse was completed and Krishna had satisfied the Prajapatis, present in the form of devatas and humans by his qualities, and was himself satisfied by the prema of the Vraja people, the Kumaras and other sages arrived to give realization of the bliss of Brahman. Not only were the sages surprised by Krishna's prosperity, but by his humbleness in front of them. The prosperity and humbleness, though of contrary natures, coexisted in harmony. They spoke of this as per Bhagavatam. Adyano janma safalyam vidyayas tapaso drisha tvaya sangam yasad gatya yad anta shreyasam para. Today, our birth, education, austerity, and vision have all become perfect because we have been able to associate with you, the goal of all saintly persons. Indeed, you yourself are the ultimate supreme blessing. SB 1084-21. In this vein, there is another verse. Although we see you in every kalpa in various forms, the essence of our goals appears newer and newer each time. Though Dwapar Yuga will not be destroyed to remove the doubt, it's possible to destroy doubt at the end of Dwapar Yuga since you become visible. They consider in their minds, though the Yadus reside with Krishna and understand his intentions, they do not speak of the cowards whose foot dust is desired by Brahma. Wondering where the cowards were, they then asked permission to leave and were about to go. Vasudeva, with a desire to make his wealth successful, made a request to the sages. Please give instructions on how to destroy karma by doing actions. Narada began thinking to himself, Vasudeva is not aware of the pure parental feelings of Nanda. Nanda is praised profusely as follows. O learned Brahmana, Mother Yashoda's breast milk was sucked by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What past auspicious activities did she and Nanda Maharaja perform to achieve such perfection in ecstatic love? SB 10-846. But Vasudeva is not praised like that. He is respected because he thinks of Krishna as the Supreme Lord. He thinks of Krishna since his birth as follows. But Vasudeva is not praised like that. He is respected because he thinks of Krishna as the Supreme Lord. He thinks of Krishna since his birth as follows. My Lord, you are the Supreme Person. beyond material existence, and you are the super soul. Your form can be perceived by transcendental knowledge, by which you can be understood as the supreme personality of Godhead. I now understand your position perfectly. SB 10:3-13. His feelings as a father are covered by this respect for Krishna as God. Thus, even though Krishna is present and he knows he's God, he inquires about destruction of karma, considering Krishna to be ignorant like a regular boy. Nanda desires only Krishna's well-being. His questioning in this way is not attractive. Narada spoke aloud. Nati chitram idam vipra vasudevo bubutsaya Krishnam matvarbhakam yannaha prichati shreya atmana. O Brahmanas, is not so amazing that in his eagerness to know, Vasudeva has asked us about his ultimate benefit, for he considers Krishna a mere boy. SB 10:84-30. Seeing Vasudeva, the sages spoke to put him at ease. Karmana karma nirhara, yesha sadhu nirupita, yachraddhaya yajed vishnum, sarva yagneshwaram makhai. It has been definitely concluded that work is counteracted by further work when one executes Vedic sacrifices as a means of worshipping Vishnu, the Lord of sacrifices, with sincere faith. SB 10:84-35. Afterwards, Vasudeva accepted the sages as priests, and they had him perform the sacrifice. At the sacrifice, Marichi, Atri, Pulastya, and other sons were the priests. At the sacrifice, Marichi, Atri, Pulastya, and other sons were the priests. Vasudeva was a sponsor. Krishna and Balarama, taking the role of his sons, were the attendants. Nanda, taking permission, was also present. How to describe all the devatas, brahmanas, and kshatriyas worthy of worship at that sacrifice on earth? How to describe all the devatas, brahmanas, and kshatriyas worthy of worship at that sacrifice on earth? Sages like Jaimini, advocates of Purva Mimamsa, did not consider another type of apurva, pious results, for actions. Sages like Jaimini, advocates of Purva Mimamsa, did not consider another type of apurva, pious results, for actions. What the Kumaras who live for Brahma's lifetime what the Kumaras who live for Brahma's lifetime and who see everything considered astonishing at that sacrifice should be regarded as a real result, apurva. Sages like Jaimini, advocates of Purva Mimamsa, did not consider another type of apurva, pious results, for actions. What the Kumaras who live for Brahma's lifetime and who see everything What the Kumaras who live for Brahma's lifetime and who see everything considered astonishing at that sacrifice should be regarded as a real result. Apurva. The result of the sacrifice, the sage is repeatedly looking at the form called Krishna, which astonished even Vyasa and which was a shelter of the Yadus and the life of the cowards, did not desire to leave, but knowing they were unqualified to do as they pleased, they asked permission to leave. But knowing they were unqualified to do as they pleased, they asked permission to leave. When the sages with their followers left, they remained there by the manifestation of their glory, though they returned home. Sending off his relatives bound by affection, Krishna and Nanda and the others remained. This was the purpose of the pilgrimage. Since it was not pleasant for them to be without milk, Krishna had some cows sent. In order to fool the enemies, Krishna and the people of Vraja placed their camps. Krishna and the people of Vraja placed their camps far apart and went on trips to various holy places in the vicinity. Holy places in the vicinity. The people of Vraja had come to Kurukshetra with Krishna as their only goal. Since they had attained Krishna, an ocean of nectar, their minds did not wander elsewhere. Though Nanda and Yashoda were filled with waves of bliss, their son, the young sons of Krishna, also filled Nanda and Yashoda repeatedly with intense bliss, just as the rays of the moon fill the ocean with water. Though Nanda and Yashoda were filled with waves of bliss by their son, the young sons of Krishna also fill Nanda and Yashoda repeatedly with intense bliss, just as the rays of the moon fill the ocean with water. Yashoda in Kurukshetra played with a child many times and sometimes became astonished as the child as she did previously by that black child. In this way, Krishna and the Vraja inhabitants became fully satisfied. While not being noticed by the enemies. In this way, Krishna and the Vraja inhabitants became fully satisfied while not being noticed by the enemies. Krishna went many times with Balarama to the residences of the cowards made from carts, similar to those in Vraja, and many times he went alone. In those houses, he acted like a small child towards his mother. My mind becomes bewildered, wondering whether he was happy or sad. Taking the opportunity, Vasudeva, along with his followers, touching Nanda's hand, spoke to Nanda. Oh brother, one can see something astonishing in this variegated world created by the Lord. Even detached sages are bound by ties of affection, whereas householders like me are not. Even detached sages are bound by ties of affection, whereas householders like me are not. Look, though your intelligence is very sober, you're bound by our affection, whereas my affection is by duty alone, devoid of real affection. Look, though your intelligence is very sober, you're bound by our affection, whereas my affection is by duty alone, devoid of real affection. Look, though your intelligence is very sober, you are bound by our affection. You're bound by our affection, whereas my affection is by duty alone, devoid of real affection. Oh brother, though I am devoid of affection, you do not show indifference to me. And though that is so, I have no attraction for you. Without money, a man is lame. With money, he is blind. This can be seen in persons like me. When I'm poor, I cannot help you. And when I'm rich, I'm blind. I do not think of helping. Evam suhruda shaitalya chitta anaka dundubi ruroda tatkrita maitrim smaran ashru vilochana. His heart softened by feelings of intimate sympathy, and he wept. His eyes brimmed with tears. His heart softened by feelings of intimate sympathy, and he wept. His eyes brimmed with tears as he remembered that had shown him. As he remembered the friendship Nanda had shown him. SB 108465. Madhukanta asked, what did Nanda answer? As he remembered the friendship Nanda had shown him. SB 108465. Madhukanta asked, what did Nanda answer? Snigdhakanta said nothing. Madhukanta asked, what did Nanda answer? Snigdhakanta said nothing. Madhukanta said, oh, why? Snigdhakanta said nothing. Madhukanta said, oh, why? Snigdhakanta said, Vasudeva had taken his son and now remembered Nanda's affection. Having affection for Vasudeva, who wanted his son, he thought it best to remain silent. He thought it best to remain silent. Madhukanta said, tell what happened. Madhukanta, after that, Snigdhakanta said, to please his friend Vasudeva, Nanda did not reveal his desire. To please his friend Vasudeva, Nanda did not reveal his desire. 3 months quickly passed at Kurukshetra because of the love he had for Krishna and Balarama. Each day he said he would go the next day. Krishna had the unavoidable duty of killing more demons. Thus Nanda approached Vasudeva so that he could return to Vraja without taking Krishna on the pretext that he had been. Thus Nanda approached Vasudeva so that he could return to Vraja without taking Krishna on the pretext that he had been away from Vraja too long. He did not approach directly but through Uddhava, since he was too shy to directly approach him. But he did not ask Krishna for permission to go through Uddhava. Previously in separation, a moment seemed like a yuga. To see him not knowing any other method, he quickly went to Kurukshetra. After associating with his son for a long time, how could he directly ask Krishna for permission to go? How could Nanda, though he longed for Krishna, ask his dear friend Vasudeva for Krishna, since Vasudeva depended on Krishna, accepted him as his son, and had attained divine happiness from him? Seeing Nanda's behavior, Vasudeva, holding great affection for him, with tears and choked voice, informed Krishna and Balarama, who had great longing that Nanda come and live with him. Informed with who had great longing that Nanda come and live with them. Hearing this, Krishna with pale face looked at Balarama. With folded hands, Balarama spoke frankly, "Oh Father, we will think about this, decide, and then inform you." Considering what was best for Nanda, Krishna consulted with Rohini, full of all bliss, and Balarama and Uddhava, and finally came to a decision. He then sent Balarama to inform Vasudeva. Arriving at Vasudeva's house, Balarama said, "O mother and father, if you give me fearlessness, then I will request you with all correctness." They said, "Yes." Balarama said, "O mother and father, you have affection for, will you not fulfill their desire?" Vasudeva said, "What do they want?" Balarama said, "Are you not aware?" Thank you. Vasudeva said, "Yes, we are aware. They have such attachment to Krishna as their son. We are afraid because of this. Krishna is pure intelligence and his nature is to be controlled by love. That will trap him." Balarama spoke with a laugh. "You are unable to protect me from birth and sent me from your place. They protected me. I take them as my parents. So what can be said of Krishna?" So what can be said of Krishna? He was in their house from birth by your arrangement. He accepts them as his parents and they accept him as their son. He accepts them as his parents and they accept him as their son. They should be recognized, but he does not see you with such affection and you do not see him with such affection. If you really took Krishna as your son, then you would have happiness like this, but you do not have that same happiness. But what is the use of such boldness in speaking? Krishna cannot bear to see anyone suffering. Enough of such useless thinking. Vasudeva said, "Let that be, do what should be done." Balarama said, "Make a house resembling that in Vraja and have Krishna stay there, just as he sometimes stays in Hastinapura." Make a house resembling that in Vraja and have Krishna stay there, just as he sometimes stays in Hastinapura. Vasudeva thought to himself, "He has spoken correctly. How can Krishna, whose sons and grandsons have reached the height of excellence in household life, give up the opulence of Dwaraka?" He then spoke aloud. He then spoke aloud. "Nanda and I are different in body alone only. Nanda and I are different in body only. Let him go to Vraja if he wants, or to Dwaraka if he wants, for he's the life of the people of Vraja and of us as well." Hearing this, Balarama left. Krishna, hearing from Balarama, offered respects and with tears in his eyes, remained without speaking, with his soul and face lowered. Vasudeva went with Krishna, Balarama, Uddhava, and Rohini to Nanda's cart camp. Meeting Nanda with proper etiquette, they spoke pleasantly. "Oh, brother Nanda, Krishna is your son and mine. There's no difference. Please hear the reason why Krishna has not been able to come to your house till now. You have kept Krishna with us that the enemies will be destroyed." You have kept Krishna with us so that the enemies will be destroyed. Krishna wants to go to your house at every moment and waiting for the last enemy to be killed. Nanda and the other people of Raja became satisfied. Shukadeva describes their previous condition. With voices faltering out of love for him, those cowards who had dedicated everything to lotus-head Krishna asked about the health of their dear ones in Dwaraka, and Balarama in turn asked about the cowards' welfare. In separation from Krishna, they had no desire for anything else. They had offered all their wealth to qualified persons for his auspiciousness. But they were unable to fulfill their long cherished desire that Krishna returned to Vraja. Now their hearts, because unsteady, as they wondered if promise or not. Now their hearts, because unsteady, as they wondered if Krishna would fulfill his promise or not. Would he come to Vraja or go to Dwaraka? They began to think. Oh, Krishna knows that we have always prayed that he returns to Vraja. It's not proper to make him give up the wealth and his relatives, which he must cherish. It's also not proper to let him directly know that Krishna should come back to Vraja. Establishing the conduct of Kshatriyas at Dwaraka is bringing auspiciousness to establishing the conduct of Kshatriyas at Dwaraka is bringing auspiciousness. Establishing the conduct of Kshatriyas at Dwaraka is bringing establishing the conduct of Kshatriyas at Dwaraka establishing the conduct of Kshatriyas at Dwaraka is bringing auspicious three worlds. He will certainly return to Vraja since he has promised this many times and since he is always most merciful to us. That is his final vow. All of our desires are centered on his attractive promise, which should lend respect to his own conduct. All of our desires are centered on his attractive promise, which should lend respect to his own conduct. We desire that his vow should be fulfilled. Krishna began to think, using remarkable means of consolation previously, I've ultimately treated the people of Vraja badly. Using remarkable means of consolation previously, I've ultimately treated the people of Vraja badly. I have not acted properly. It is not right that I speak to them with the same type of words now. I should indicate that I'm coming to Vraja now by sending all pleasurable things that I've enjoyed, thus accomplishing through prema whatever is included in Samadana, Veda, and Danda. Thus accomplishing through prema whatever is included in Samadana, Veda, and Danda. Articles which are my very life will satisfy those who take me as their very life, even if they're in Vraja. Vyasa has said, Tataha kame puryamana savraja saha bandhava parardhya bharana kshauma nananargya paricha dai vasudevo grasenabhyam krishnodhava bala dibi dattam adaya pari barham yapito yadubhir yayau. Then after Vasudeva, Ugrasena, Krishna, Uddhava, Balarama and others had fulfilled his desires and presented him with precious ornaments, fine linen and varieties of priceless household furnishings. Nanda Maharaja accepted all these gifts and took his leave. seen off by the Yadus. He departed with his family members and the residents of Vraja, SB 1084, 67 to 68. But how can I describe the condition of his followers on leaving? That condition remains in my mind. Their articulation of speech and the complexion of their body disappeared. Understanding that the strength of body and mind were weak and thus subject to an attack by the enemy, on the pretext of a gift, Krishna had many servants, bards, and foot soldiers accompany them. Understanding that the strength of body and mind were weak and thus subject to an attack by the enemy, on the pretext of a gift, and thus subject to an attack by the enemy, on the pretext of a gift, Krishna had many servants, bards, and foot soldiers accompany them. On the pretext of a gift, Krishna had many servants, bards, and foot soldiers accompany them. Nanda and the cowards with difficulty left Kurukshetra and reached the area of Mathura. To reach their houses, they crossed the Yamuna with minds detached from their previous residence. To reach their houses, they crossed the Yamuna with minds detached. To reach their houses, they crossed the Yamuna with minds detached from their previous residence and had the people live at a well-known place called Gorai, far from their previous residence. And had the people live at a well-known place called Gorai, far from their previous residence. In Sanskrit, the place is Gokulapati. In vernacular, it is Gaurava, and in slang, it is Gorai. In Sanskrit, the name is Gokulapati. In vernacular, it is Gaurava, and in slang, it is Gorai. Gokulapati is famous as the residence of Nanda. As the place belonging to Purushottama is called Purushottama, so the place belonging to Gokulapati is called Gokulapati. Speaking and then grieving for a moment, the speaker introduced a pleasant subject to conclude. When the talk in Nanda's assembly was over, Snigdhakanta spoke in the assembly of Radha. I offer respects to the path from Kurukshetra to Vraja, where Nanda stayed. Since it's auspicious and attractive, Krishna was able to relieve his pain of separation for his Vraja friends by thinking of this auspicious path. When the talk in Nanda's assembly was over, Snigdhakanta spoke in the assembly of Radha on hearing the words of Vasudeva. "O Nanda, this son is yours and mine. There's no difference." The gopis thought that those words indicated Krishna as their object of service in the future, and thus those words gave them joy. But with choked voices, they said, "Though he's delaying so long, why does he delay with us?" Hearing this through Uddhava, Krishna in shame gave an order. I have previously described this. Api smaratha, api smaratha na sakhya, swanam artha chikirshaya, gatam chira itan chatru pakshak shapana chetasa. My dear girlfriends, do you still remember me? It was for my relatives' sake that I stayed away so long, enjoying my enemies. SB 1080-41. I'm delayed slightly longer because a few more enemies must be destroyed. Please wait for a few days. Please wait for a few days as previously until there is good fortune for you and me. Accepting that his words were not untrue, and at another time they met him and spoke. "Oh Krishna, can your true words ever be pronounced otherwise? O Krishna, can your true words ever be pronounced otherwise? If time can tolerate our hope and will live till you return, those words will be proven true. Embracing each gopi, Krishna accepted this. When you accept Krishna, your condition is permeated with time. In that condition, ordinary time has no jurisdiction. When you accept Krishna, your condition is permeated with time. In that condition, ordinary time has no jurisdiction. Though the night before the morning, when the people though the night before the morning, when the people who traveled to the area of Mathura ended quickly for the gopis in Kurukshetra, that night, bringing pain of separation did not desire to end. Fear was the cause of not wanting to end the night, of bringing separation the next day, and fear was the cause of ending the night so that Krishna's plans of killing the demons could be fulfilled. Krishna's plans of killing the demons could be fulfilled. The narrator concluded, "O Radha, Kurukshetra is amazing. The seed of promise that Krishna planted there the seed of promise that Krishna planted there and in Braja sprouted in Kurukshetra. And in Braja sprouted in the Kurukshetra is amazing. The seed of promise that Krishna planted there and in Braja sprouted in Kurukshetra and bore fruit in Braja. Braja sprouted in Kurukshetra and bore fruit in Braja. The Lord of your heart, for whom you went to Kurukshetra with a firm vow and for whom you gave up your houses and went to the forest, is embracing you all and living here. Is embracing you all and living here. What greater happiness than this? Giving happiness to the Sakhis, the two reciters left with their associates. Radha and Krishna began to fulfill their desires. Hare Krishna. So we are moving over to chapter 25, Uddhava's advice. The next day, when the sun was in Nanda's assembly with Krishna present, Madhukanta spoke. Again, Krishna stayed continually in Dwaraka. In order to obtain news, Nanda as before sent messengers who offered respects to the many young sons. In great wonder, two messengers spoke to Nanda. O Nanda, please hear something astonishing. When Krishna and Balarama went to get their sacred threads and did so in secret, they went to a Gurukula in Avanti to study. Went to get the sacred threads and did so in secret. They went to a Gurukula in Avanti to study. When they graduated, the wife of the Guru requested that they bring their dead son back from Yamaraja. When they graduated, the wife of the Guru requested that they bring her dead son back from Yamaraja. Devaki had heard this previously, but kept the thoughts in her mind secretly for a long time. I should ask Balarama, bring back my son's killed by Kamsa. I should ask sometime that Krishna and Balarama bring back my son's killed by Kamsa. She then thought about her and Yashoda's conflicting claims for Krishna as their child. I should ask sometime that Krishna and Balarama bring back my sons killed by Kamsa. She then thought about her and Yashoda's conflicting claims for Krishna as their child. Becoming determined to attain her sons, she thus sowed the seed of a request to Krishna in order to pluck the fruit. Hearing the words of the messenger, everyone said, "This is more astonishing than seeing Krishna as God." Hearing the words of the messenger, everyone said, "This is more astonishing than seeing Krishna as God." Though she had two sons, Krishna and Balarama, she wanted more sons. The messenger said one should consider how she thought of the two as sons. Because of seeing their powers, she thought of their supreme lordship. Again, everyone said, as bitter taste nourishes the sweet taste in a laddu, so as a show of greatness should nourish the happiness of friendship found in Krishna and Balarama. So a show of greatness should nourish the happiness of friendship, found in Krishna and Balarama. The messenger said, adding salt to a substance turns it salty. Can Vasudeva attain intense sweetness in that case? Nanda said, let that be. Vasudeva is Krishna, I desire him. Vasudeva is Krishna and I desire him. But there's a great difference between us in regards to Krishna. This should be explained later. The messenger said, here another astonishing thing. Balarama and Krishna then went to Sutala. There, Bali, son of Virochana, worshipped them properly with all the heavenly treasures. There, Virochana worshipped them properly with all the heavenly treasures he had accrued in Swarga. Bali had been keeping all the sons of Vasudeva killed by Kamsa. After Krishna, Bali had been keeping all the sons of Vasudeva killed by Kamsa. After Krishna and Balarama were worshipped by Bali, Bali had been keeping all the sons of Vasudeva killed by Kamsa. After Krishna and Balarama were worshipped by Bali, they took them. Bali had been keeping all the sons of Vasudeva killed by Kamsa. After Krishna and Balarama were worshipped by Bali, they took the 6 children called Sadgarbha. After Krishna and Balarama were worshipped by Bali, they took the 6 children called Sadgarbha back to Dwarka. In Sutala, they had seen Bali's house, which was like a storeroom of treasures, and they received many of those treasures. Hear about some amazing incident there. Though the Lord Vamana personally resided in Bali's house, when Bali saw Balrama and Krishna, he forgot about the other Lord in his house. Forgetting the form of the Lord who was the object of surrender, if along with his family offered himself to forgetting the form of the Lord who was the object of surrender, he along with his family offered himself to Krishna and Balarama. that he forgot the Lord was not important. Bali did not see the Lord situated at his door, for he became absorbed in Krishna and Balarama because of his impressions after seeing them. Not only by seeing Krishna and Balarama did Bali think that they were rare, but also his voice became choked up, his hair stood on end, he became stunned, he perspired and he fainted. Please describe what happened after they returned to Dwaraka. The messenger said, something astonishing happened at Dwaraka. Though Krishna and Balarama were present there, on seeing her 6 sons, Devaki's breast began to flow. Everyone asked, please describe what happened after. Everyone asked, please describe what happened after they returned to Dwaraka. The messenger said, something astonishing happened at Dwaraka. Though Krishna and Balarama were present there, on seeing her 6 sons, Devaki's breast began to flow with milk profusely. With great desire, Krishna first drank the milk in order to make the milk and the sons successful. With great desire, Krishna first drank the milk in order to make the milk and the sons successful. He then served out special piety by having the 6 sons drink the remnants of that milk and express his own mood as a son by drinking. He then sent them to Vaikunta, the object of meditation for the Devatas. Vaikunta, the object of meditation for the Devatas. This is only representative. Previously asserting that Krishna was a Lord by enumerating the different elements emanating from him, and surprisingly gave up Krishna as his son with this proposition. Then he concluded that Krishna, who was filled with affection for Gokula, was God. With a smile, Krishna then said, Vachovaha samavetartham tataitad upamanmahe yanna putran samudhishya tattvagrama udahrita. My dear Father, I consider your statements appropriate since you have explained the various categories of existence by referring to us your sons. SB 108522. My dear Father, I consider your statements appropriate since you have explained the various categories of existence by referring to us your sons. SB 108522. Seeing Devaki's actions, the sages praised her. Krishna, who brought back the sons whom Devaki desired, drank the milk of Devaki, which flowed to feed her sons. He fulfilled her desire and protected her happiness. How could he then reject Yashoda? Hearing the learned words of the messengers, everyone became happy. The reciter concluded, O Nanda, you became continually happy on hearing Krishna would return. O Nanda, you became continually happy on hearing Krishna would return. That happiness is now before you as previously, shining more attractive than a fresh cloud, wearing cloth flashing like lightning, decorated with a peacock feather. That happiness is now before you as previously, shining more attractive than a fresh cloud, wearing cloth flashing like lightning, decorated with a peacock feather. Wearing cloth flashing like lightning, wearing cloth flashing like lightning, decorated with a peacock feather. That day at the assembly of Krishna, Madhukanta spoke on another subject. After satisfying Devaki's desires, Krishna thought of satisfying Yashoda's desires. Oh, at Kurukshetra, I indicated this, but till today I have not done so, since I must overcome Jarasandha, Shishupala, Shalva, and Dantavakra, the enemies of Indra. Thinking thus, he performed the daily rites starting at Brahma Muhurta. Thinking thus, he performed the daily rites starting at Brahma Muhurta. All these things Nanda heard from messengers. Krishna got up, performed Achamana, meditated on the Lord, took bath in the lake, bathed, put on cloth, meditated on the Lord, took bath in the lake, bathed, put on cloth, performed Sandhya rites while chanting Gayatri Mantra, and then offered oblations into the fire. He offered Arghya to the sun, offered Tarpanas to the forefathers, worshipped the sages, Devatas, Pitras, and Brahmanas, and distributed 13,084 cows in charity. He bowed to the cows and Brahmanas, touched auspicious objects like a brown cow, decorated himself, looked at ghee, mirror, cows, Devatas, and Brahmanas, satisfied people by donations, gave garlands, betel, and sandalwood, and then used the items himself. He then got on a chariot brought by his driver, grasping the driver's hand. Like Vishnu shining with Garuda and Vishwakshena on the sun planet, Krishna appears glorious with Satyaki and Uddhava on the chariot. He took the gems of his queen's hearts from the inner chambers, and bound up by their eyes, he left with a smiling glance. Seeing him, some people shouted, "Victory, victory," and others said, "All respects, all respects." Others chanted the Vedas and others praised him. Though there was no distinction in all the tumultuous cries, each of the sounds gave happiness individually. Each of the sounds gave happiness individually. He then entered the assembly hall with the Yadus who were watching him come. The distinction of the hall was that anyone who entered became free from hunger, thirst, passion, hatred, happiness, and distress. But what was its quality when Krishna entered? The distinction of the hall was that anyone who entered became free from hunger, thirst, passion, hatred, happiness, and distress. But what was its quality when Krishna entered? But what was its quality when Krishna entered? What to speak of the assembly hall, when the black and gold of Krishna's body, jewels and dress spread in all directions? What to speak of the assembly hall, when the black and gold of Krishna's body, jewels and dress spread in all directions, the Yadus there lit by the rays of his effulgence in all directions, the Yadus there lit by the rays of his effulgence, took on the qualities of his form and shone brilliantly in groups. Took on the qualities of his form and shone brilliantly in groups. The hall was ornamented with Brahmanas, Magadas, Sutas, Bandis, dancers, clowns, each with their own instruments, and shone with many kings. In that attractive, astonishing hall, Krishna looked at each person. In that attractive, astonishing hall, Krishna looked at each person, while each person thought that Krishna was looking only at him. In that attractive, astonishing hall, Krishna looked at each person, while each person thought only at him. A gatekeeper holding a jewel spectre then announced, "Oh Lord, there's a eunuch at the door. His face has no beauty." Krishna said, "Bring him in, bring him in." When brought in, that person looked at Krishna with astonishment. With a complexion like a cloud, Krishna destroyed the three miseries because he cooled the earth with the rays of his moon-like fame. Offering respects with all his limbs, thinking himself successful, the fortunate person came slightly forward when told to come. With folded hands, he then spoke. "I see that all people in the three worlds are attracted to Krishna since they have all their hair standing on end and tears in their eyes. I must tell you the words of the kings imprisoned by Jarasandha, though these words should be kept secret. The person spoke. Previously, Jarasandha called all the kings to help his attack on Mathura. At that time, he did not get all the kings. He then went around conquering them all and throwing them in prison. The kings are almost dead. The kings are almost dead. Taking you as their only shelter, 10,000 kings are requesting you. Oh Krishna, there's no limit to your forms and qualities. Your nature is to protect all those who surrender to you. Though you are separate from the four human goals, we have become your devotees to get liberation from material life. We are surrendered to you, but those who oppose you are proud. O killer of Kamsa, we have spoiled our sense of surrender. We carry sin of another sort because we see a fault in you, the Lord. Since you protect the earth, why do we suffer from karma through Jarasandha? In this life, we are not your pure devotees. In this life, we are not your pure devotees, nor are we surrendered to you. We have been proud because of greed to obtain happiness as kings in this world. We are bewildered by your Maya. You protect those who surrender to your lotus feet. You protect those who surrender to your lotus feet. Thus free us from the noose of karma in the form of Jarasandha. We are bewildered by your Maya. You protect those who surrender to your lotus feet. Thus free us from the noose of karma in the form of Jarasandha. You are capable of doing this. After repeating the message of the king, the messenger spoke for himself. After repeating the message of the king, the messenger spoke for himself. You are Agastya, swallowing the ocean of sinful people. You are the sun for the righteous. The messenger spoke for himself. You are Agastya, swallowing the ocean of sinful people. You are the son of the righteous. You are Satyuga for the sinful and Dhanvantari for the suffering. Since you have appeared on this earth as Krishna, who can say their desires are not fulfilled? The desire of the imprisoned kings is centered only Krishna, but out of shyness, they did not reveal this. Not only I say the following, but all the imprisoned kings say this as well, with tears in their eyes and trembling bodies. The burning body of Uttana became fragrant milk meant to kill Krishna turned into nectar. Mountains melt by the sound of your flute. Kubja became beautiful. The elder Yadus became youthful. The perfume qualities of Krishna attract our hearts constantly. The people in Nanda's assembly said, then what happened? The messengers laughed with a slight remorse. Then what happened? The messengers laughed with slight remorse. When Krishna desired to answer, Narada, white like an autumn cloud, hair flashing like lightning, appeared making resonant sounds on his veena. By his glance, he spread showers of happiness, giving dasya bhava to everyone. By his glance, he spread showers of happiness, giving dasya bhava to everyone. By his glance, he spread showers of happiness, giving dasya bhava to everyone. By his glance, he spread showers of happiness, giving dasya bhava to everyone. Krishna desirous of his devotion, stood up and offered respects, making him effulgent by worshipping Krishna. Then worship. By his glance, he spread showers of happiness, giving dasya bhava to everyone. Krishna, desirous of his, stood up and offered respects, making him effulgent by worship. Krishna then inquired from him, O Narada, you wander everywhere. Meeting you is auspicious for the whole universe. I asked, bewildered by your age, great age. stood up and offered respects. Making him effulgent by worship, Krishna then inquired from him, O Narada, you wander everywhere. Meeting you is auspicious for the whole universe. I ask, bewildered by your great affection, what do you desire? If it is convenient, I would like to ask how my dear devotees, the Pandavas, are doing. Narada answered, O light of the Yadu dynasty, without effort you have established peace in the universe by your fame. When I sing your glories, many give up their lovers as if they were old women. All of my other powers should be seen as your powers. Therefore, because you can see everything, I follow your order. Yudhishthira, thinking of making you the main personality of the sacrifice, wants to your sacrifice. Krishna said with a smile, is he going to perform a Rajasuya sacrifice with great joy out of internal love for me? Narada said, he desires the wealth of Brahma by that sacrifice. Krishna again said with a smile, does he desire to go to Satyaloka by performing sacrifice with material desires? Narada said, no, but with a desire to attain you. Krishna said, who says that I'm Brahma, Parameshti? Narada said, you are called thus by Shukadeva in the story of Sudama. After saying this, Supreme Lord Parameshtina ate one palmful and was about to eat the second one. Who says that I'm Brahma, Parameshti? Krishna said, who says that I'm Brahma, Parameshti? Narada said, you are called thus by Shukadeva in the story of Sudama. In the story of Sudama. After saying this, the Supreme Lord Parameshtina ate one palmful and was about to eat a second when the devoted goddess Rukmini took hold of his hand. It'll be 10:81:10. Since you have the 6 qualities of God, what use are the 6 measures of king? Since God, what use are the 6 measures of king? O Govinda, you follow proper conduct because you desire to follow the customs of the world, avoiding other actions. First, do these 2, free the kings from suffering and have the sacrifice performed. O Lord, by killing Jarasandha, the 2 acts will be perfected. The kings will be freed and the conquest of the directions for performing the sacrifice will be accomplished. Just as the sun divides 2 fortnights of the night, night moon, just as the sun divides 2 fortnights of the night moon and quells its power, you cut down Jarasandha and quell his power. But you should not kill Jarasandha yourself, since you have rejected him many times with force already. O conqueror of the directions, those who have conquered the directions should perform the sacrifice. Therefore, you should engage the Pandavas who desire to perform the sacrifice in killing him. Therefore, you should engage the Pandavas who desire to perform the sacrifice in killing him. Among them, Bhima has the strength of 10,000 elephants. Among them, Bhima has the strength of Among them, Bhima has the strength of 10,000 elephants. He desires to fight with Jarasandha in hand-to-hand combat. It's not necessary to conquer him using troops. O Lord, by killing Jarasandha, the two acts will be performed. The kings will be freed and the conquest of the directions for performing the sacrifice will be accomplished. Just as the sun divides 2/4 of the night, moon, and quells its power, you cut down Jarasandha and quell his power. And quells its power. You cut down Jarasandha and quell his power. But you should not kill Jarasandha yourself, since you have rejected him many times with force already, O conqueror of the directions. Those who have conquered the directions should perform the sacrifice. Therefore, you should engage the Pandavas who desire to perform the sacrifice in killing them. Bhima has the strength of 10,000 elephants. He desires to fight with Jarasandha in hand-to-hand combat. It's not necessary to conquer him using troops. You need 100 Akshauhinis in fighting him, but the sacrifice cannot be accomplished in this manner by killing him. Hopes for the sacrifice will be checked. You need 100 Akshauhinis in fighting him, but the sacrifice cannot be accomplished in this manner by killing him. Hopes for the sacrifice will be checked. You need 100 Akshauhinis in fighting him, but the sacrifice cannot be accomplished in this manner by killing him. Hopes for the sacrifice will be checked. You need 100 Akshauhinis in fighting him, but the sacrifice cannot be accomplished in this manner by killing him. Hopes for the sacrifice will be checked. O intelligent Krishna, the killing of Jarasandha by Bhima will accomplish everything. I have given advice as you have inspired me. Bhima is strong and Uddhava is a good advisor. Taking these two famous qualities, I give you advice. As the body does not work without the Antaryami, killing Jarasandha cannot be accomplished without you, even with millions of troops, advisors, instruments, or weapons. The enemy should be killed by a trick. This is the rule of conduct. Thus, there should be deception in carrying out this killing. Since he who wants to kill you and pretends to respect Brahmanas, we should disguise ourselves as Brahmanas. Thinking of fighting you and Balarama, he surrounded you with armies. The fool did not think of hand-to-hand combat. If he fights in single combat to show the world his truthfulness, he will be cheated, thinking we are Brahmanas. Therefore, we should be deceptive at this time by disguising ourselves as Brahmanas. Therefore, we should be deceptive at this time by disguising ourselves as Brahmanas. At this time, by disguising ourselves as Brahmanas. Should be deceptive at this time by Brahmanas. Putting ferocious Bhima in front, you will be victorious with Arjuna. Putting ferocious Bhima in front, you will be victorious with Arjuna. What more can be said? All fighters and advisors support you. All this is mere past tense for you. What more can be said? All fighters and advisors support you. All this is mere past tense for you. Nanda said, then what happened? The messenger said, just as those proficient in dharma worship the words of the Vedas, all praise Uddhava's auspicious plan. When the people of Raja felt pain that Krishna was involved in such cheating actions, they began to think. When the people of Raja felt pain that Krishna was involved in such cheating actions, when the people of Raja felt pain that Krishna was involved in such cheating actions, they began to think. One wise person present then spoke to pacify them. This will increase the fame of Uddhava, who understands Krishna's mood and powers among those who appreciate his powers of advising. Nanda said, then what happened? The messenger said, we two messengers then came here while lamenting, while reviewing events till the present. Two other messengers will come with the remaining news. Two other messengers will come with the remaining news. Having concluded, Madhukanta said, O Nanda, we were filled with remorse on remembering the pain you felt in separation from Krishna previously. Having concluded, Madhukanta said, O Nanda, we were filled with remorse on remembering the pain you felt in separation from Krishna previously. Let that remorse be gone. Having concluded, Madhukanta said, O Nanda, we were filled with remorse on remembering the pain you felt. Having concluded, Madhukanta said, O Nanda, we were filled with remorse on remembering the pain you felt in separation from Krishna previously. Let that remorse be gone. Krishna, with the complexion of a new cloud, wearing yellow cloth and a peacock feather, holding a flute in his hand, has appeared, but you are filled with pain by that. Having given happiness to Nanda, the reciter went to the assembly of Radha and Madhava and spoke. O Radha, previously there were great devotees, and in the future there will be great devotees. Now at present there are great devotees, but Uddhava is most intelligent, for in the Yadu assembly remember you and made him hear your name in verses like the following. Gayanti te vishada karma griheshu devyo Rajñam swashatru vadham atma vimokshanam cha gopyascha kunjara pate janakatmajaya pitroscha labdha sharano munayo vayam cha. In their homes, the godly wives of the imprisoned kings sing of your noble deeds. How about you will kill their husband's enemy and deliver them? In their homes, the godly wives of the imprisoned kings sing. In their homes, the godly wives of the imprisoned kings sing of your noble deeds, about how you will kill their husband's enemy and deliver them. The gopis also sing your glories, how you killed Shankachuda and delivered them from his hands. The surrendered souls sing of your killing the enemy of Gajendra. The sages sing of your killing the enemy of Sita. We Yadu sing of your killing the enemies of Vasudeva and Devaki. SB 1071-9. SB 1071-9. The meaning is this. All the devotees sing at all times about your spotless act. All the devotees sing at all times about your spotless activities for killing the sinful and protecting the righteous. All the devotees sing at all times about your spotless activities for killing the sinful and protecting the righteous. About your spotless activities for killing the sinful and protecting the righteous. Understand the present situation. The wives of the kings situated in their homes, feeling humble before you, offer prayers, singing of freedom for their husbands from the enemy. All the devotees sing at all times about your spotless activities for killing the sinful and protecting the righteous. For killing the sinful and protecting the righteous. Understand the present situation. understand the present situation. The wives of the king situated in their homes, feeling humble before you, offer prayers, singing of freedom for their husbands from the enemy and their own liberation from separation from the Lord, giving us general prayer of liberation for their husbands. They announce their own desire of freedom from separation, displaying the gopis' mood secretly, suppressing hopes of destroying the enemy in the form of separation from Krishna, displaying the gopis' mood separately, suppressing hopes of destroying giving a general prayer of liberation for their husbands. They announce their own desire of freedom from separation, displaying the gopis' mood secretly, suppressing hopes of destroying the enemy in the form of separation from Krishna. The gopis instead sing of the killing of Shankhachuda. The gopis instead sing of the killing of Shankhachuda. The gopis instead sing of the killing of Shankhachuda and then their own liberation from the demon. The gopis instead sing of the killing of Shankhachuda and then their own liberation from the demon, even though the protection of their husbands, and their wives is reinforced by the other examples. The protection of their husbands and their wives is reinforced by the other examples. The protection of their husbands and their wives, is reinforced by the other examples. We sing of these two subjects, killing demons and protection of selves, for the different devotees in your different births is in this world. We will sing whenever the queens and the gopis reveal their desires for having demons killed and being protected by you. Let the queens We will sing whenever the queens and the gopis reveal their desires for having demons killed and being protected by you. Let the queens, the gopis' desires should be fulfilled. Similarly, the surrendered souls sing of your killing the enemy of Gajendra and saving him. The sages sing of your killing the enemy of Sita and having her and saving her. And we Yadu sing of your killing the enemies of Vasudeva and Devaki and saving them. Concluded. At this time, I'm telling an ancient story about Krishna in which the gopis suffered separation. At this time, I'm telling an ancient story about Krishna in which the gopis suffered separation. But look, whether today or tomorrow, sorrow is clearly present. At this time, I'm telling an ancient story about Krishna in which the gopis suffer separation. At this time, I'm telling an ancient story about Krishna in which the gopis suffered separation. But look, at this time, I'm telling an ancient story about Krishna in which the gopis suffered separation. But look, whether today or tomorrow, sorrow is clearly present. But that sorrow through separation is the bliss of Sambhoga meeting. But that sorrow through separation thoroughly nourishes the bliss of Sambhoga meeting. After this, the two reciters along with all the people returned to their residences, and Radha and Krishna, going to the temple of bliss, enjoyed pastimes together. Hare Krishna. I would like to stop here now. We'll continue tomorrow. Hare Krishna.